States, because the market is so big and valuable, you know, the ecosystem that rock and roll established in terms of touring and ticketing and radio and formats, everything that was set up was sort of perfected over a half a century. And when electronic music came along, it was a reimagination of everything, a reimagination of how you would go to a show. It's not about being in your seat, having your ticket, and seeing a star on the stage. It's complete reinvention of that. And same with music and lyric, and sort of the monetization of every aspect of this was being reimagined. And so it took a while for the industry to figure out, you know, okay, we need to get on board with this, because we can create a, you know, revenue and an ecosystem around it. When I was first DJing at more mainstream shows that were put on by established promoters, rock promoters, there was a complete misunderstanding of what we were doing as DJs. Like, I played the first Coachella, for instance. And
wow.
The main
Wow.
promoter put me on the main stage. Like, oh, Jason, you know, great. We're going to put you on the main stage. You're going to play right before Rage Against the Machine. And they meant well.
How much shit was thrown at you?
Yeah, exactly. It was the most frightening experience of my life. And during the breakdown of the records, dance records have this sort of, you know, section where they break down. The crowd of 35,000 people were chanting Rage in time with my records. Rage, 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 rage. I mean, I was like frightened out of my mind. But anyway, my point is that there was no appreciation for, oh, this is a DJ. You know, meanwhile, I'm like trying to play records. I'm playing vinyl at the time. And roadies are moving things around, bumping, you know, they didn't care what I was doing at all. Nowadays, they care.
Oh, yeah.
You know, now they understand. The sound guys, the roadies, all the different, you know, links in the chain. Now they finally, 20 years on, understand that, oh, we need to do all of these things because this is what people are buying tickets for. So it just took a while for the mainstream to sort of absorb it in the right way, to finally get it.
Do they? That's what I don't quite get, because for example, those of you listening and watching, Insomniac is now owned by a larger organization,
Live Nation.
Live Nation,
Yeah.
excuse me, the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to live events. But Insomniac started by a guy named Pasquale Rotella, who basically threw raves, and slowly but surely started throwing bigger and bigger dance concerts and festivals. And to now they own Electric Daisy Carnival. The main one is in Vegas, at the Vegas Motor Speedway. And people don't realize it. It's the largest music festival in North America. And it happens on a freaking racetrack. And it's like 120,000 plus young people there. And when I tell people that, they may have heard of it, when I say, oh, it's infinitely bigger than Coachella, they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's still in some ways a parallel track, I guess is my point.
You know, that's sort of the exciting thing about electronic music, is that it's always evolving. People are, the scene itself, if you're into that, you're really interested in what the next sound is, or idea, or weird synthesizer. That's, the momentum is forward. It's not really about that old familiar thing. And so, you know, I think it puts different terms on that music. But also, just like fashion, you know, there's certain things that you'll wear for a month, a season, you know, and then there's that leather jacket. You know, there's that leather jacket that you love and you've had for 10 years, and it's sort of like a second skin to you, right? So, you know, there's a range of things, but especially with electronic music, I see a lot of parallels with fashion, because it can be so trendy and just turn over really quickly.